What's good, everybody? It's your boy Dakota. I've just done so many takes of this video. You have no idea, but I'm just here to tell you thank you so much for supporting the show. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe to the channel, leave this video a little like, leave it a little comment. If you're an audio person, leave me a little 5 stars, maybe leave me a little review. Whatever you can manage, it all means a lot and it all helps. And go ahead and check out all the links I got in the description to support both myself and whoever the guest is this week. I always try to make sure that I leave links in the description so that you can follow the fighters once the show is debuted. And I hope you enjoy this episode. All right, welcome to episode 114 of the Slip and Wee podcast. I'm here with Chordale Booker today, who's got a huge fight coming up with Sebastian Fundora, March 22nd. Champ, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate this time.
I wanted to start by asking you, like, how did this opportunity come about? Because it felt like for the better part of a year, we're getting rumors and different variations of a fight announcement between him and Errol Spence that just doesn't wind up happening. And then the fight with you gets announced shortly after. How did this come about for you?
For me, it was a surprise, total surprise. I was home. I came from training and just got the call from my manager. He called me, said, "Hey, would you consider it?" And I said, "Consider it." I absolutely like called him back right now. Let him know I'll take it right now. Like, whatever's going to get me to get the fight, I'll get it done.
It's a super stacked division. Why do you think it is that they chose you as the opponent?
I think I was the easiest to work with, given that I wanted to make the fight happen. One, two, I didn't have any promotional ties to any other fighter. Always tied to big promoters or any promoter at that matter. I'm a promotional free agent, so I think it was just easier to come to me and not have to make so many splits with the money.
Right, less people at the table to negotiate.
Right.
How do you find sparring for a guy who's 6'6" in your weight class? I'm sure that's
It's,
something you.
it's tough because he's the only guy who is um, like ever in boxing history who's ever been as tall as him in that weight class. So it's been tough. I've been sparring guys who I've been just having to spar guys who are my weight class and aren't as tall as him. Um, Maybe like 6'4", 6'3", and then I got guys who are out of my weight class who are 6'8", 6'7", who I've sparred too as well. So just trying to get prepared and get familiar with the tall southpaw, and then learn as I go. Fight Nate.
Do you have any other experiences like this, pro or amateur, of fighting a guy that's like kind of a freak in terms of height for the weight?
Yeah, I fought a lot of tall guys in the amateurs. When I moved up to 165, I fought a lot of tall guys in the amateurs. And then actually when I turned pro, I fought a 6'4" southpaw um, on the undercard of Julian Williams in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I can't remember who the guy who Julian Williams fought that night, but I remember that it was cool for me to go pro under somebody like that.
What did you think his last fight with Tim Tszyu? It was a while ago. It was kind of a fucking bloodbath, right? I mean, you had the headbutt, which or the elbow, I should say, which caused the cut on Tim Tszyu's head. Then, of course, Fundora's got like a broken nose and he's bleeding out of his mouth. Did you see a guy in there that had like improved from the Mendoza fight, or was it just like a freak accident happened, and so Tim Tszyu's performance was changed? Like, how did you perceive that fight and that performance from him?
I thought I thought the cut on his head did affect him because Tim was doing well the first two rounds. Seemed like he caught his rhythm pretty early, but I do think Fundora also tried. I think he made the adjustments from the Mendoza fight to have a little bit more boxing into his style versus just going forward and throwing a lot of punches. So I think a little bit of both are true, but the head clash I feel played more of a factor because Tim couldn't see.
I also felt like it was the first time where he consistently used his height in a fight. It's like, he gets knocked out by Mendoza, and for multiple fights before that, people have been telling him like, yo, you gotta use
Yeah.
some of that reach, you gotta use some of that height, and then he used it for the first time in this fight. Do you anticipate that he'll try to do that with you, or are you kind of preparing for that, or being on the inside for as long as the fight lasts with a really tall guy?
Yeah, honestly, I'm actually prepared for both because I don't know which one he's gonna do. Um, but I'm expecting honestly both of them to show up. I'm expecting the relentless pressure because that's the normal him, and that's what happens when us as fighters once things don't start going our way. All right, we're going back to what's comfortable, and I'm not, you know, I'm not looking at it like, oh, I'm gonna fight him this way. I'm fighting whatever. I'm doing whatever it takes to win. Whatever it takes to win. That's all I'm gonna do.
Yeah, he's a super awkward guy, and like you said, it's so tough to know which one of those styles he's gonna pick coming in. So you do kind of have to be ready to, change it up on the fly. How are you like? Because I always like to ask this because I've seen, obviously you interviewed with my guys Lukey and Jack Kelly, and I know this is the kind of fight you've been waiting on for a little bit, right? Like, how you doing with maintaining your composure when this is something that you've had to wait for some time, and now you're kind of just getting, tossed right into the deep end.
This is what I wanted. I mean, to be honest, like composure is not even like it's fine because like no the honestly the only pressure that's on me is on me. Like that's it. There's no everybody expecting me to go in here and get smoked, and like the worst thing that could have happened to me as a fighter, it did happen to me, being stopped by somebody. Um I never wanted that. No fighter thinks that could happen to them. And then it does. Um and it just it lit a new fire under me. And it's gonna be a great fight. Like I I mean the only people who really know boxing are giving me a chance. But I think even those are just like, oh, I mean, Chordale has skill, but they still think I'm gonna lose, the kind of thing. Not, I don't think anybody picking me, and that's fine. That's fine. That's why I said all the pressure there's no pressure on me from the fans. There's pressure on myself because I know what I can do.
Right, exactly. And I think like part of what you said too, he's one of those guys where, like you said, they're all going to be favoring him to some extent. But at the same time, you know, I think anybody who really knows the sport knows that it is pretty much a 50-50 fight.
You have to be a guy who understands boxing. You really have to understand boxing, and my body of work speaks for itself. If you look at my record and you watch my videos, there's a few of my fights after my injury where I was a little shaky, because I was still getting myself back together.
What
But
was the injury?
I tore my Achilles. So
That's a tough one, bro.
when I fought Sonny Duverson, I had came off of my Achilles tear, and it took me a while. I didn't understand it. I didn't like it. I didn't really know I was going through that until I started to get better, get more spring, get more reaction time with my feet, start practicing like little agility things that I used to do easily that I couldn't do. I'm like, oh, I gotta work on it. I gotta build my foundation all over again. And I thought I could just jump right back into boxing, and I did. I mean, I didn't perform my best, but I won, and like those were things that I had me starting to cut corners, and then and now it was all a learning process to get me back here, and I knew in my heart this is what I wanted. I wanted to be world champion, have a shot fighting the best fighters, and I'm here. Like that's why I didn't care. It did not matter who I fought. I know nobody really wants to take the 6'6" guy. I take him. I'll take him. Like it's other champions that I could have went to. No, I'll take it. I'll take this one. Like so that way now you can't say nothing. Like I went for the tallest guy, the guy who's not usually picked from I'll take it. Cause that's how bad I want it. I want to fight the top guys.
You talked about having it like light a fire under you, but after, having your first defeat, having the injury and having to fight through some of that, and maybe not, having your body to rely on as much as you used to, what are some of the changes or improvements that you've been able to make now, here in the last couple of years?
Honestly, it's just me. Like my body made improvements, being
Yeah.
stronger, being like having to really actually responding and get back to boxing, actual boxing shape, and not just going into boxing thinking that like okay everything is okay, like you're a boxer so you should just box. Now I had to like really get my body back into boxing shape, having fast twitch muscle. Your reflexes are like the most important thing with boxing, and my feet were no like at a point no longer the same how they were, and now I feel like they're better than what I was before.
Yeah, and Achilles injury is a tough injury, bro. It's like because so much of boxing, right? You're up on the balls of your feet sometimes. Even if you're flat-footed, you're relying on your foot being like flat to the floor. It's a tough
Right.
injury to come back from, but the fact that you have, man, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, One of the other things I wanted to ask you, unrelated, but it's in your weight class. After Zoo lost to Fundora, he took on this guy Bakram Murtazaliev. I had never seen him. I'm a big boxing head. I watch a lot of this shit, right? But I had never heard of this guy. He kind of walked through Tim Zoo. What did you think of this guy? Did you think that that was just kind of one of those freak upsets, where it's like he tagged him early and he never recovered? Or do you see that guy as like, oh, okay, that's somebody I'm gonna have to see down the road, as we start, unifying belts and shit?
Yeah, no, I think his power is real. I think he's caught him and it buzzed him because Tim that's happened to Tim before and he was able to still win. Um, but this guy obviously must could really punch because Tim wasn't able to, regain himself the same way he was in his other fights. So yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna have to see this guy. His power looks legit. His defense isn't the greatest, but he can punch his way out of that.
And
So
it's not the worst either. It's not
yeah,
like he's like a defensive whiz, but he's not like just one of these punchers that comes forward and gets
yeah,
hit.
he's not terrible. He's a good boxer with solid like he must really could punch. Like I said, defense not the greatest, but he can punch his way out of that. So that makes him dangerous because he'd rather swing a shot than defend himself to get himself, give himself to air. And those are like dangerous guys to go against.
154, bro. It's been one of those weights for a long time. There's just been a lot of talent at it. Like there's like 20 different matchups you could make at any given time. And it doesn't feel like maybe since, like Canelo moved up that there's been an agreed on kind of best guy. And now, of course, Terrence is going to move up and fight Canelo. So he's leaving 154. What do you think? Of course, nobody looks ahead, right? But what are the fights that you would have to take at 154 to be able to stamp yourself and say, I'm that guy?
Um, I mean, to be honest, it's so tough because there's so many guys at 154. Like
It's
it's been
probably
a
it's one of the best divisions of boxing, bro.
it has the most talent, the most like guys that like that you could just mix and match. In my opinion, there's so many guys you can mix and match. I don't really know who that's what I like about the weight class. It's like I don't know who you would fight to say like, okay, this is the clear best because there's so many different guys who beat different guys. I mean, the only I always say that Charlo is probably stands above everybody. You know, even though he lost to Tony Harrison, he regained it. Then he lost to Canelo. I would call him like the clear kind of top. Charlo has to be the top guy. Him and Tony were the last with the belts. Besides, so like I don't know. I guess Charlo, this would be the only person who's clear. But anybody can fight anybody, and I think if all of us just end up fighting at least four different guys, we all stamped in the 154 division.
Right. If you can get through 4 or 5 of those matchups in a row without a loss,
Yeah,
it's like you're the guy. Because even last night we watched Jarrett Hurd, right? It was like Jarrett Hurd beat Lara, and then he loses to J Rock, and then J Rock lost to the
Rosario.
yeah, to Rosario, and then Rosario lost to Brian Mendoza. It
Uh,
happened so fast. You know what I mean? The turnover's been so fast. I just feel like it takes a couple of high level defenses, and it's like you're the fucking guy.
yeah, and that belt got passed around fighter to fighter to fighter. It's bounced around. So there is no clear king at 154.
Real quick, because I don't want to take too much of your time. Do you have any thoughts on the fight last night between Lamont Roach and Tank Davis? It felt like to me Lamont just edged it. That was my opinion. I've seen a lot of different takes, but what'd you think of that fight?
I thought so too. I agree with you. I thought he edged it. I think because he's who he is, of course, like that's why he didn't lose. Also taking a knee during the fight, calling the timeout is
Crazy.
like something we've never seen. And I
That's like when
can
you're kids and you're fighting, and then when the one kid goes timeout, 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 and then you stop and he
yeah,
starts punching you.
yeah, that was that's something that only he would be able to get away with. Like that's never been done. So I mean, I think a draw is fair. Without the taking the knee, but him taking the knee, you should take the point, and he wins the fight. So because you got to just be fair across the board, like anything but if soles of your feet touch the floor, then it's a knockdown by the rules of boxing. So.
You're a fighter, a boxing insider. Is that a fight that you thought or knew would be competitive in that way?
Um, to be honest, I told people that it would go the distance. Because I like how Roach boxes, very
Smart.
sharp. He's a super his reflexes are super edgy. I like the way he like keeps his hands up, punches off the counters, punches off the high guard, punches off the shoulder roll. He's just a very good boxer. Super technical.
Pitch the fight, my friend. Why do you beat Sebastian Fundora March 22nd?
I'm gonna show everybody on March 22nd. I'm doing everything it takes to win the fight. I'm gonna shock the world. March 22nd. I can't wait.
It's gonna be a hell of a fight, champ. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I know you got a lot going on right now. It means a lot.
Yeah. Nah, thank you.